Right. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Calling the January meeting of the Permanent Building Committee to order. Welcome. On the heels of last night's congratulatory message to Dave Ramachi, I'd like to acknowledge him again tonight for all of his great work in bringing this project to conclusion. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I'd like to, we've got a lot to discuss in terms of extra stuff that apparently the DPW would like to have at this 11th hour. And so we need to talk about all of that. But let's start with Robert giving us an update on where we are with the construction and the documents and final steps.
All right, thank you, Wayne. The construction is essentially complete. There are a few tiny items that remain. Weather stripping on the overhead doors. The wrong stuff got shipped, so they needed to get some alternate material. The lighting system needs to be programmed. I think which will happen on Wednesday. Wait, today is Wednesday. No, today's Tuesday.
Thursday.
Tomorrow.
Thursday too.
And then the HVAC system needs to be programmed. That will happen also this week. And I'm not sure if the the carbon monoxide detector in the mechanics bay has been fully tested. It's working better. I understand it doesn't go off every time there's a whiff of smoke in that room. It was just a mistaken setting, or someone plugged into the wrong outlet on the. So anyway, so now a fan goes on at 25 parts per million. An alarm is supposed to go off at 200 parts per million, but with the fan on, you never get to that level. So you need to purposefully disable the fan and make sure that the carbon monoxide detection actually happens at 200 parts per million. And that still needs to be done. And the sign will be installed next week, I understand, or maybe later this week. That's all that's left in physical activity. There's paperwork having to do with warranties and closeout documents. We got over one of those hurdles today with the certificate of substantial completion being executed by all parties, including Mike Kaczynski, Town of Millis. So that document is a significant stepping stone in that it represents that Millis now has substantial beneficial use of the building. You can basically use it as designed, although we need some mechanics bay equipment that is subject to later in this meeting. And you can wash buses or trucks or whatever you want to wash in there. And the staff building, as you know, is already working. Oh yeah, the other thing that needs to be done is the emergency exit window in the staff building needs to be installed. I forgot about that. But with the certificate of substantial completion, all the warranties are going to effect as of yesterday. And essentially it means you own the building and can use it. So now what we need to do is complete the closeout process, record drawings, warranties. We need to get the permit closed. That happens when the inspector provides a certificate of occupancy. Right now, we're working under a temporary C of O. When some of those items that I mentioned about like programming the lights and HVAC and the CO detector, when those boxes are all checked, then our mechanical engineers, GGD, will issue their final affidavits, and that will begin to close down the permitting document that ends with a certificate of occupancy. So we're getting down to short strokes. That's,
So Robert, in that regard, the CO, we're operating under a 30-day temporary CO. So that's not an indefinite period of time. I'm not sure how much time is left on that.
yeah,
My thought is that that CO was issued near the end of last year. I think it was before the first of the year. So we're at the end.
Okay.
What are we going to do about being able to, irrespective of the certificate of substantial completion, we still need a complete CO.
yep. Well, we need affidavits only from GGD for some of those electrical systems. And they know that that's the last little piece that's required. And when those are delivered, then JJ Cardosi can apply for the certificate of occupancy to basically close the permit. I think that can happen within a day or two, Wayne.
Okay.
It's very, very low, easy lift to complete that stuff.
Well, does the
Sorry, go ahead.
does the
We
CO,
had an issue. Go ahead. Sorry, Wayne. We had an issue with the exhaust fan for the CO detectors yesterday. The guy who was there to calibrate the fan and the exhaust fans, we noticed when the control guy was there that the fan was making noise. So I told him about it. He went up on the roof, started it. There's a definite issue with the fan in the upper section of the roof. So he said Wednesday when everybody's there, they'll check it again, but he's thinking that the fan may need to be replaced. What's happening is it's overheating and stopping. So there's, just to let you know that there's an issue with the vent system.
Which building
That's news.
The mechanics bay.
Okay.
Hey, Rich. Rich wants to speak. You're muted, Rich.
I had to figure out how to get the mouse up there. Well, even if that is broken, as I would imagine, as long as it works, they probably could make it, get it to pass and then say that they're going to replace the motor. I mean, if there's a piece of defective equipment. But I agree with Wayne. One of the things with the getting the final certificate of occupancy has been through it many times. You think you're almost there, and then there's that one more thing. So I think we ought to push to get that wrapped up.
Agreed.
absolutely. All right. So when is everybody due out to, are we going to have all three, the electrical, the mechanical?
All this week, Wayne. So at Tuesday's meeting, last Tuesday's meeting, the plumber's coming out tomorrow at 8 o'clock to do the heating system training. Thursday, we're going to have the training on and the electrician will be out there to do for the lighting system. Thursday afternoon, they're coming out to put the sign on the building. The sign, the Millis DPW, that's coming Thursday. And I thought they were gonna actually do the CO2 testing when the electrician was going to be out there. So all that is actually all scheduled to be done this week.
Good. Well, let's hope we get it all in order so that we can get our permanent CO.
Yeah, Jim Donovan, he'll be there also. He changed his day, so he'll be there tomorrow and Thursday. That's
So,
our IT director.
yeah, so I was out at the site a couple of days ago. Dave, you made a comment to me about maybe a Cat 6 cable needing to be connected to the vehicle building.
I talked to Jim Donovan about that because he had stopped by yesterday afternoon as well. He said everything we have is run over there. So the wire that I was showing you is for the computer, has nothing to do with anything that needs to be for lighting or heating. So he said he'll be there to work out any little niches that need to happen. So, but everything should be there that needs to be.
All right, good.
Quick
All right, well-
question, Dave? Have
Yeah.
you learned how to use your voicemail yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Has he helped you with that?
No, actually, we had something come over the mail and we figured it out.
I sent you some stuff, but
Yeah.
he's a good resource if you can't make it work.
Yes.
Okay. So let's proceed on the basis that all of this is going to happen as Jim McKay just related. Can we get a final or a conclusory statement by the end of business on Friday as to whether or not we have a working CO system? All of the things necessary for the full CO are in place, and that's been applied for. Robert, can you follow up and issue something by the close of business on Friday to us?
Yes, will do.
All right, thank you. All right. With that, are there any questions or comments in regard to the construction of the building or any remaining issues? Then I think we're done. Robert, I think we can dismiss you early. We've got a number of things that Jim is interested in, but frankly, I don't think any of those involve any input from you. So we're at the point where we're going to evaluate those and pay some bills.
All right.
All right.
Well, good to see you all. I think I'll see you again next month. Hopefully that will be really just buttoning up some files and closing down some final billing. But we'll know that when we get there. That's the plan.
And the obligatory champagne drinking, right?
Oh yeah, I won't want to miss that.
Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Let's get into all of the items. I have 8 items on my list, some of which have been approved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items that have not been approved yet, that are up for discussion. And I'll just list them quickly here, so that Jim, you know that what I've got on my list. First is the safety signal security system. Number 2 is a diesel generator. I've got 1, 2, 3 proposals for Mohawk lifts. A proposal for rack storage signs. And I want to talk about finished paving. And then I've got some bills for rekeying and for Walco for moving the Scada system. All of which I think need to be talked about in relation to what we spend or don't spend of our contingency. So, Jim, you wanna jump in?
Sure, thank you. So at our last meeting, which was our last walkthrough with the committee, Wayne said that, look at things that are missing that could be, proposed, and that's what we did today. So I worked with Dave, Kevin, and John Wanders to get this list together. And everything on here was originally in the building project, and every one of them was cut, to get the price down to where we were, so we could go to town meeting with that. The one that surprised me the most was the generator. I never thought it was going to be that expensive, but I was looking for actually 2 generators, one for that and one for the water treatment plant up at Well 4. That is what it is. The price is, the big thing is, you know, they're under contract with us, this company. We could get other bids, you know, to see if something could be at a cheaper price. But, you know, we're looking at at least a year, and for some of the parts and 3/4 of a year for another. I think that the generator, it will go back to the select board and town meeting in the future. We're looking at a building that it needs emergency power, and it's in an area that, you know, does lose power, you know, not constantly, but, you know, in storms. And it's usually when it's out for days. We had this couple of year storm when everybody lost the power. That was one of the last areas to get turned back on. So that, you know, leading after the generator, we did, you know, we looked at, we knew that we were going to have to move the lift over, and when it was building was proposed, you know, we proposed that we would keep the lift that we have, and we would just move that because town, well, not town meeting, that we went to the finance committee, I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago, and asked, and they appropriated for this brand new lift, and it's only, I'd say 6, 7 years old, if that. So we did get the price, and then we had to wait. You know, all these people, when you ask for the price, they say wait till you're getting ready to do it, because they, you know, with the costs of everything out there today, you know, so we had to wait to get this price to move this lift. And I believe it came in at $26,000, almost $27,000 just to move it. And that's with restoring it, and with much discussion that we all had with the, you know, the manufacturer, the person who we bought this from this company. We bought that lift from the company. So we went right back to them to move it. And what they said is, you know, the steel needed to be, for them to certify the move and to get it into the new building, they would have to follow the procedure that's outlined in their quote that brought it up to $27,000. And that would be sandblasting, refinishing the steel. I think there's some of the diamond plates on top of where the rough part where the truck sits on was going to be replaced. So again, that shocked us at $26,000. So I think that after, again, with discussions with Dave and the mechanic and John Wanders, believe me, he's around and he's very involved in everything that, and so you just haven't heard much about him, but he's a mechanic foreman and does a lot of work on vehicles. We are proposing the latest quote that you got. I think that was for $19,520, and this would lift up everything up to our 1-ton trucks. So that would pick up all the cruisers, whatever pickup trucks we have in the 1-ton. I think if you look at the TP16, TP18, that's the proposal. We would leave the big lift in place and just leave it there, and we would use it when we would have to pick up the heavier trucks. It won't detract from any of the needs of the building, the space wise. You know, the mechanic, if he has to go over and work over there, he's just gonna have to bring his tools over there. And it's, you know, heating wise, you know, again, it's, you know, we always had the intent of leaving maybe one heater there to keep the trucks warm, maybe 1 or 2 of them. The lighting in the building would still be there. And I just can't see, you know, spending $26,000 because we can just go and get a quote and buy another brand new one. And because it can't be much more than that. And the salesman, you know, he was kind of shocked when he told Dave and Kevin, when he gave this to us, he was kind of surprised with the price himself, because it was most of the auto body shop that would have to take care of that. The next one is on the security system. I think that we know in any day and age that, you know, a building of this in this massive area needs some sort of security type system. And that was one of the first things that we did cut was the camera system. Luckily we did we built. It's all there. The boxes, the conduits, everything is there, and it comes back right into the control room. The only addition, so we got the quote for 4 cameras on each building, and that would replace the system that we have that's completely outdated, and he can't use it. So we would have 4 cameras on the garage area, on the corners, 4 on the staff building, and 4 on the outside building. I think that leads us to shelving. I think that's around $12,000, almost $13,000. And that would outfit both the garage area and the open space garage where we took down the office area. The committee has already approved, and I think if you come in, you can see they're the heavy duty ones that you see at Costco's and BJ's, and those heavy duty type shelves. And the committee already approved and paid for, I think, was it Dave, 6 of them that we have already put in place?
Well, 1 rack, but it was I think 2 systems, but yeah.
And they found very, they hold up heavy equipment, and they're already in place that we've already started to store stuff on them. And the next is the signage. I think that's for like $960 something, and that's the police chief, the fire chief, and the building commissioner had proposed that we needed some sort of a numbering system for these buildings, so that when if there's an emergency or somebody gets called out, or there's a chemical leak, or there's something, they need to know what building they're going to. And they've looked at this design and these signs, and they approved that they feel that this is, so we would have one out in on Union Street. It would introduce the property, and it would give the list of buildings. And as you pull in where the new wall is, we would have another big sign that would push the building, to the back buildings. And we did include the treatment facilities and the new treatment facility in the other buildings. And what else was there? I think, was that it? I'm sorry, Wayne, was there one more?
So there's one other thing that I want to talk about in relation to evaluating spending our contingency, Jim.
Yep.
And that's whether or not you have a quote for the finished paving.
Yes. So we won't know that until, we put that out to bid, and that won't happen until we find out what's approved and what Chapter 90 funding we do get. I would still go on the assumption of what was priced last year. I think it was $110 a ton. We have a good, we know what we're putting on top of it. We know it's 1.5 inches, so that could be spec'd out. I think if you look at the sheet that Kim sent out yesterday, if I can find it, I think we're pretty close to having enough.
We have $53,000 in that line item.
At 53 in the line item, but if you look down at curbing, and there's another 24, almost 25,000 there, and that's for, would have been used in this for because the top coat would have the curbing. That's going to be the monolithic berm that we're going to put in place all around the different spaces, and that would be part of the top coat. And that is, isn't it like 23,000 curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and driveways? There's 23,990 in there.
So you have $77,000.
And I would ask that with the additional top coat that, Robert and everybody, designed, I would ask for at least another, a contingency of 25,000 for that. I don't see it coming in at $100 and something thousand, but
Jim, would you have to reline everything too, parking?
yes, everything in that, but Dave would do that. That was done in-house.
Okay.
That's the stock we have, and the machines, we have all that stuff.
Okay.
So we have if we if you tell me that of the $77,000 that we already have set aside for paving, and that you think that there's another plus 25,000, we have $137,000 in phase 1 and phase 3 contingency. The quote for the diesel generator is $78,000. The safety signal quote is $28,000. The Mohawk lift, the cheapest one, is the $19,580. Rack storage is $12,500. The signs are roughly $1,000, and then you've spent roughly $5,000 between two costs for rekeying and Walco to move the Scada system. That exceeds the amount. Doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to fund everything, even if the committee decided that it was warranted. So I think we need to have a discussion as to what's the priority and where's the money best spent.
Wayne, what's the total of what Jim would like?
I didn't add it up.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't-
okay.
What was the security system? I missed that number.
28.5.
Thank you.
So, well, here, are you going to do a little math here, Craig?
I wasn't planning to. I was sitting here taking notes, but I can start some math. So we've got the
Let's
lift,
take
let's call it
let's-
19.5,
19.5,
28.5 for security. Yep.
78.5 for the diesel generator.
Shelving
12.5
12.5,
for the racks. And
I'm
then
sorry, what was it, Wayne?
12.5 for the racks,
1,000 for signage,
1,000 for signage, 6,000 for bills yet to be paid, and another $25,000 for finished paving.
Yep, and I screwed up someplace. Sorry about that. I hit the total button too soon. Let me start over 1 second real quick.
I came up with 171.
That was where I was pretty much right before I hit the wrong button. So I think you're probably right.
A long way from 107 or whatever we have,
137.
137.
I'm sorry, could you just, what was the generator again?
78,400.
It is 78, okay. Okay, thanks.
78.5, Jim.
Okay.
I thought you spent all day looking at these numbers, Jim.
I did, but I didn't get to that one.
I'm gonna have to apologize. I didn't see those numbers. I don't know which package they were in, so maybe I just missed it, but
I think they were spread across a few, Craig.
okay, that could be it.
So is that the right number?
Present tomorrow.
Just in rough numbers, $171,000, is that the total?
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say.
All right.
So we got about 40.
So I guess what I would ask Wayne is, you said there's 137, 112 left in contingency. There's 70-something thousand still left in paving pots that are already still there. Site furnishings, there's still 40-something thousand dollars that is still left unspent. So, and I thought that when the committee approved the moving of the Scada system, and that was already approved by the committee, that and that's why when I talked to Kim, earlier, there was two things in there that we're looking at, should they be not in site furnishings and should they be in site demolitions and improvements, that there's almost 50,000 in that.
There's nothing definitive about where we put the line items, Jim. So if money is unspent in one line item, we arbitrarily allocated that. So you're right. If it's unspent funds, arguably they're available. So you're right. If there's the furnishings amount that is unspent, that's available.
Yeah, because I think if you look at Division 32 exterior improvements, there's $187,341 there. And that's not even, that's not and when you add the contingency in, it's over 2.5 250 plus thousand. Am I correct, Kim? Am I looking at your form correctly? I don't want to.
I'm sorry, I was typing to Craig about where to find the documents. What was the question?
So if you look at the last document, the project budget status report that you sent out, you have down in Division 32 exterior improvements, there's 187,000 remaining.
Yep.
And then the phase contingency of phase 1 and 3, there's an additional 137,012.
Right.
And then if you look up like the furniture costs, we still have, I mean, there's still a $9,000 bill that's going to have to come out of that. And that's up way up top of other project costs, you know, furniture, fixtures, and technology. So that will come out of that. And that would, I mean, the furniture was only, what was it, less than say 10. So there's like another 22 there. And then whatever they're sending back, didn't they just, we're going to prove that 200 and something thousand that's coming back in contingency from the contractor today.
Well, I think the committee would be challenged to spend money that was allocated or approved at town meeting for contamination.
So that's incorrect. I looked at what was voted and I have that here. And that's, if you remember, me and you had a long discussion about that and you wrote the article, so it did not say anything about contamination. I have it. I don't know how to share the article. I just pulled it up. If I can, I'll read it to you. It says, Article 5, I move that the town vote to appropriate $600,000 to pay additional costs for constructing, renovating, and remodeling of the town Department of Public Works facilities, which project will initially approved at Article 13 of the annual Springtown meeting and on the May 13th, 2019, and amended by Article 11 of the annual Springtown meeting on June 20th, 2020. That to meet the appropriation, $200,000 shall be transferred from Water Enterprise Reserve Funds. $200,000 shall be transferred from the Sewer Enterprise Fund. $100,000 shall be transferred from the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, and the transfer with the approval of the Select Board to authorize to borrow $100,000 in accordance with general blah, 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 or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town to therefore, and it goes on and on and on. But so that.
Yeah, I remember that article.
Yeah,
I do remember that we wrote it to increase the project because of the potential ground contamination. And I remember Doug and I talked about it quite a bit. I can't remember if Doug ended up with the article or I did. I apologize for that. Did Doug had it or I had it?
I think Doug had it, yeah.
I thought he did too. And I thought that I know we went back and forth on it. And the intent was, we put it in there because we had an uncovered contingency for potential contamination. And the thought was, if we didn't have contamination, we were hoping not to spend that money. So we wrote it broadly enough to cover the contingencies, but it was clearly stated that the intent was, this is there because we have to have enough money to do the project with a contingency. We don't have enough money if we hit contamination. If we don't hit contamination, we hope not to spend this money. We didn't hit contamination. I'm not a voting member of this committee, but I was a voting member of the finance committee, and the hope was not to spend it. We were fairly sure because of the use of the site and previous history of the site that we weren't going to hit it. We just had to put on belt and suspenders to make sure we had enough money to finish the project should we hit it. And since we didn't hit contamination, I'd be hard pressed to look anybody in the eye who I spoke to and say that this is part of the project money when it was more or less earmarked towards contamination in our minds, at least those of us that voted on it.
Yeah, so my last comment on this was that was all said. Everything you said is true. Everything is true, but it was specifically written because even the project itself and the building cost, if you look at it, when it was originally first put out the bid, came in under that $600,000. The $600,000 needed to finance the project itself, whether the contamination was only $300,000. That's all that we put aside for the contamination of the digging for it. And at the end stages of this discussion, and Wayne, I'm sorry if you can't remember it, it was specifically, well, whatever, you can speak for yourself, but I remember why the article in the wording was put exactly in that way, because there was an expectation that there was not going to be enough funding to even finish the project, because we only needed 300,000 for the line item for the clearing of the contamination, and that's what was put aside.
I agree. We wrote it in a general way to give us the flexibility to spend the funds as needed. As needed. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. So, so let's talk about the items that we let's go through them one by one. Safety signal.
So I'm sorry, how much money are we saying that we have to spend? Is it the 137, or what's our number that we feel comfortable with?
Well, arguably, if we spend all of the unallocated funds, including what the $200,000 credit from the Cardozi contract, we have roughly $350,000 in
Unspent funds.
Unspent funds.
I thought the 300 was the contingency for contamination. We didn't
was.
spend that.
We've spent a portion of that for other things. If you look at the Cardozi monthly submission for this month, you'll see the change orders that were approved that are about $100,000 that have been approved from that on that account that technically come out of that $300,000 contingency. Had we not had that, it would we would take it from the other contingency. So because it was a Cardozi bill, we took it from the Cardozi account. So we spent about 100. I'm not sure, Kim, if you have the latest Cardozi submission in front of you.
Yes, I do.
We have change orders additions that total.
For this month,
What's the latest? What are the change order totals that we have?
net change by
Not the-
change orders?
Not the net, just the additions.
They don't, on this month, they just show the additions for this month, the 11,792.
Okay. So what was the previous? Do you have that?
The previous application for payment?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the previous, so total, I'm sorry. I see what you're looking for. Total is 123,276.09.
So we've approved change orders on the Cardozi for $123,000. And
Yes,
that technically is a net, or it is a deduction
that's the addition.
from the total approved contract for Cardozi, because we had to approve their entire contract, including the potential for the contingency. And you're right, it was 300, I believe, 330,000.
22, or, yeah. Because we got a credit for that. The
We got-
322 or whatever it was.
No, we got about $200,000 because we've spent 100 and
Okay,
the number that Kim just gave us.
I'm gonna put this up on the screen. Would that make it easier?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. So can everybody see that? The additions and deductions?
Right.
Yes.
So if you look in the lower left-hand corner, change order summary, we have spent a total of $123,000, 123,276 of additional costs to Cardozi, of which is a credit against that $330,000 change order. Why? Which is why they're showing a net change of roughly 200,000, 203,477, because they're not spending any money on contamination. So of the 330, we've spent 123. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
So you're telling me when we have 203 left?
No,
Just then.
yes, we do have 203 left if we decide to spend it.
Right. But
That's correct. That's
what-
correct, John.
What was Jim's total? Was it 137?
No.
171.
We have 203 on the Cardozi, John, but we also have contingency for phase 1 and phase 3. We have $137,000 of unspent funds in line items on the budget that Kim produces for the contingency for phases 1 and 3. And then Jim is right. We haven't spent the full 40-some thousand dollars on furniture. So there's unspent funds in other line items here too. So we have roughly $170,000 in phase 1 and phase 3 unspent funds, and we have $200,000. So we have roughly $370,000 of available funds.
Okay.
So can I ask another question? And I guess it's got to go back to Kim. Does everybody have the project budget status report, or is it just Wayne, me, and?
No, I sent it to everybody.
So, I mean, if you look at the total projected project costs.
Do you want me to put that up? Hold on.
I think it would be best so people can see it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
$874,923 that are unspent funds for the project.
And this is the one-page summary, right?
Yes.
That lists each line item and, that's the number that I see, 874,
So, I mean, if you
almost
had it
875.
right. And I know that there's still a lot. I mean, there are still funds that still have to, because the project's not closed out, but I don't see it ever getting down to even past the $600,000 that needs to be returned. And believe me, I'm in favor of that, putting it back into the water and sewer funds more than anybody.
All right, so let's go back to the Kim. Can you put up the Cardozi, the latest requisition from Cardozi? We owe Cardozi $160,000 in retainage. And we owe Cardozi $233,000 in remaining contract amounts.
No.
Did I do that right? Total retainage, $160,000. We owe that.
Balance to finish 233.
33.
Plus the retainage.
Yep.
So that's $400,000. So
Right.
I think it's to look at $800,000 and say, we're not going to get close to that. I'm not sure that that's a good benchmark to refer to.
I think either way, you work yourself back to about that 370 you started with, Wayne.
I think that's right. The numbers are the numbers and the budget's the budget. You either add them up or subtract it. We should come out with the same number either way.
And why is he giving back the $200,000 credit?
Because
If
it's
we're
not
gonna
spent,
have nothing?
because it's not spent.
Just to balance their budget, if you have a, you know, a credit, they want to give it back because then the way they can make the books clean. We end up doing that. We write change orders back if we have extra money.
So if you look at, then what I'm looking at the construction contracts, construction 341,000, there's $226,050. And then the construction contingency, there's $203,436. That leaves a total amount of $429,486.
What page you're looking at, Jim? I'm not, is it on the DPW project budget page?
It's on that one right
Yeah.
there. If you look down the bottom, so there is still the 400 something thousand still, and leaving the 874. That's when I was looking this today. I was kind of, it's right there. It says 4,000.
Can you scroll to the top, Kim? I'd just like to see the headers on that page. Remaining budget, actual, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Kim, did you just send that out? This
I
day?
sent- I
Tuesday.
sent it out earlier to,
Yesterday.
Yesterday,
I printed it last night.
yeah, we had it. I printed it and I couldn't read it. So now I have it on my iPhone, but I see the number.
So
I printed it 11 by 17 because
whether we printed it or not, I mean, am I looking at it correctly? Is there $429,486 left in to pay Cardozi? Or is that part, does he still have to put is the 200 and something thousand that he's given back to us, does that have to come out of that? That's what I'm confused about. I've never seen
These are not the same things, Jim. This is our budget to manage the control of the cost. Cardozi's contract was $348,000. We took some money out of that to pay for inspection fees and some other miscellaneous costs. That's why you see the 348,150 or 3,481,578 number. He has spent to date 3,052,052 based on our just what we looked at. What we still owe him. We owe him the $160,000 contingency, and we owe him his last submission. And so what we should have when that is all done is a number that is the $203,000, which is the credit off of his contract. So that 429 should then be it should be 203. That's how that should work out.
At the bottom of his budget on all of them, he has balance to finish because they have that in the last page. So that'd show it on the contract, what he has left to finish in his contract.
correct. I get all that. I'm not questioning that. So then what is this 429 figure? I don't understand so we have 429,000 to pay him, or should that 203 not be there is my question. You're telling me that the $203,000 should not be on this form. Why is it there? Because we're stating right now by this form, there's $429,486 to close out JJ Cardosi's remaining contract.
Kim, can you can it be all right if you could you pop his contract up? Because it should show that on that balance sheet at the very end.
Oh, the
You should
last
have-
page?
Yeah, it should have remaining, it's the long one.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to switch it to get the long one. Hold on.
Because they always do balance to finish.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so all the way to the end, Rich?
Yeah, usually they'll have like balance to finish on this, on the,
Yeah.
you know, the big long sheet.
Yeah, it's on there. He's got it.
We could upgrade your internet, Kim. Did you
Yeah,
get
I
like the
just
bargain?
upgraded my internet. That's the sad thing.
You get the little hamsters running there, turning
There
the
we go.
wheel.
All right. Can you see that?
No.
Is that what you wanted?
We still have, we're still seeing your in the
Directory.
page, yeah.
I think you're not showing the right page.
On my screen, I'm showing page 18 out of 18.
We're not
So-
On
seeing
my
it.
screen, I'm seeing a list of documents, 125, 22 PVC meeting material.
That's okay. I'm not sure.
On
All
your
right,
share, select, yeah.
Let me stop share and try sharing it again. I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Here, let's see. Try this.
Yeah, yep,
This right number right here.
yep. I think that, so that should show you, if you slide over a little, it'll show you total complete stored to date. And then balance to finish. If you slide it over, well, that's, I guess I can do it. I've got my-
72,973.
I think you have to move your people.
Yeah, I don't know
boxes.
how you move it. I don't know how to do that.
Just drag them. Just put your cursor and drag them.
So
Oh, I can, thank you.
what it states is it says balance to finish C and G 72,973.60.
So that would be, in my mind, that would be what he would have left on his contract. So
Thank
we would owe him 72,973
That's what.
after we make this payment. So that basically, that would be his final payment, and then he'd be all done.
Thank you.
No, then we'd have a retainage, Rich.
No, balance to finish is balance to finish, including retainage.
That's-
If you see in there, retainage is on the right-hand side.
It's all zero though. So.
Yeah.
That's if it's variable.
Yeah, I've never seen it like that either, Rich. That's what.
Because we always have the retainage included in the contract, so you know exactly where everything is.
That's the way it was, yeah.
Well, if we don't know how much money we have left, it's gonna be hard to make decisions on these things.
Correct.
So.
Real easy, one of the two.
Yeah. But just from a substantive point of view, Jim, could I ask you just to go back to, you made a statement at the outset, and I want to make sure I understand, is these items that you're trying to incorporate now were in the original plan, and they were scaled back to try and have us meet the budget. So if we have money left, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, I mean, that is my favorite term in all this was, of course, reverse engineering. We reverse engineered these items out of it because we didn't think we could afford it. And now that we perhaps have money available, we ought to prioritize what we think we ought to put back into the project. Am I missing something, or is that kind of what we're talking about?
That's exactly what we're talking about. This whole discussion that we've spent is all centered around how much money is available, and
Right.
even in the most conservative context, arguably there's enough to fund all of this if we so choose.
Okay.
So whether or not it's 300, 130,000 or 170,000 or $370,000, it still would allow us to approve all of these, irrespective of what we owe Cardozi.
And we think those numbers are good, though.
Well, they are good. We don't think that they are good.
Okay.
I go back to the lift for just a second there. I mean, if the other lift is 27,000 to move it, and it has a lot of life, is it a better lift? Does it make sense to spend a little bit extra more to move it over? Or is it not big enough, or is the other one big enough to handle our trucks? Especially in light of possibly having enough funds to make this work.
Well,
Dave's on mute, and I know he's trying to get in there.
I'm sorry.
Dave's on mute. And I think that what our discussion on that is that it does have life, and honestly, we were looking at what was going to get passed tonight, and if the generator doesn't get passed, we have to leave the big truck lift there, because we're going to need to, that building has power. And if we need to put something up in the lift and there's nothing out back without a generator for a year, it's, you know, we can't shut down. So I would leave the lift, what we're asking for is leave the lift where it is, and we can still operationally use it, you know, for the big heavy trucks, and look at the $19,000, and it's still truck lifts. They can still pick up the 1-ton trucks, and it'll give actually more space out in the mechanics bay. This will be put right at the front door, and it will block, you know, and again, this was all discussion early on that we all had. It was the idea of what is going to make it feasible for us to build this building. And if there's any leeway now that we have, we would ask that we could, you know, move it that way.
So Jim, is your number one priority the lift, the new lift?
I would say that yes, that would be Dave's.
Okay.
And I would have to, mine personally is the generator. I don't know how he can operate a building in this day and age without a generator. But I you know, Dave and Kevin, they work the facility more than I do. You can't build a facility without a generator. And
Yeah, but you can't have one for a year, which is just
Correct.
ridiculous.
correct.
Yeah,
Oops, just a question, if we lose power, I'm just thinking of something different. The Scada panel is now inside that building. Does that mean that is not?
No, the SCADA panels, it's in, and that always had generator power. It's working off the same source of both the garage and the new staff building. That has power.
Okay.
We're only talking, Rich, about the big ticket item here, $78,000 for a generator is only for the vehicle building. It would only provide service in the event that we lost power and needed to either service a vehicle or wash a truck. And to me, I have a hard time justifying a capital expenditure of $78,000 for what I consider to be the extremely rare circumstance where we would need to either service a truck or wash a vehicle when we had no power. As you know, generators, although they are tested weekly or monthly, fail routinely because they're not put under load. They're rarely used. They're an expensive piece of equipment to maintain. I do not see the value in funding a generator for that extremely unlikely circumstance, in my opinion. I respect everybody else's opinion about it, but I do not agree that every building deserves a generator.
and I agree with that, especially for not moving the lift. If we still have the lift that's on a backup generator, the one that we're not moving, is that lift not on a backup generator, Jim? You're shaking your head no. You just
Yeah, I totally disagree with Wayne's comments. I mean, we run this entire system that power goes out all the time. We've never had a failure in one of our generators that we've worked on, because we do maintain them and we do keep them up, and they do come out and they are put full load tested at least 4 times a year when the system's tested. And this is a public facility building so, you know, for the comments to say that they break down, Dave, back me up on this. We've never had a failure on a generator at a well, a sewer station, and they've run for days on end. But I get the idea. If the building, and it was the first thing that was cut, was the generator. It was the first thing that we cut because of the cost of it. If we're leaving the lift in the outside building and we'll use that with the other lift, I guess. That's.
Well, in any
The
case,
other
Jim,
building, Craig, you're correct. The other building does have backup generator. Yes, that's you, to answer your question.
Yeah, and originally I was advocating for moving the $27,000 lift because I hate to build a new building, not be able to work on all of our trucks on that one.
Mhm.
But Wayne's point with the generator, if we can lift for us emergency when you lose electricity, if you lose a truck, you've still got a way to work on it. Is what I'm reading here, you know, with that of the lift.
You're correct.
And if you lose electricity on there, I don't see how you're hurting with having that backup generator, a backup lift in the other building. You're not going to wash trucks. You're not going to be able to use the other building, but you have a way to fix anything that's a frontline vehicle that needs to be on the street during a storm.
and Jim,
There was
you're-
one more lift that came out today. So you had one that was, there was another heavier lift. What, can you walk through that with me, Jim? Would that do the big trucks?
That and it's just not more conducive for what we need. It's too big, and it can pick up buses and in every truck that we have. This is a permanent structure that's bolted to the ground. It will be in place, and that's also, what's it, 48,000? That's $48,000 for that, for those portable mounts. And that's, you know, we went away from that and moved to something that was more, you know, feasible cost. It was
Jim, I understand what you want to do, but at this point, if we approved a new generator, you wouldn't have it for a year, right?
that's correct. It's
So
like
you'd still be using the garage lift.
Yep. Correct. But does that help it further down the road? I like I said, $72,000. When he gave it to me, I just couldn't believe it either. You know, the chief got 2 quotes for generators, but they're much smaller. You know, I even looked into see if we could combine it with the new treatment plant generator, and they're using the generator power off of the existing plant, so there's not going to be one put in there. So, so I get it. I'm happy with if that's the way the committee votes against it. I don't agree with it, but that's the choice, and I'll live with whatever decision you make.
All right, let's go through these individually then. Shall we deal with the ones that are but let's start at the top. Let's start with safety signal, $28,540. Do we have that proposal that we can put up on the screen, Kim?
Sorry, my unmute button wasn't working, but yes, I have it and I'll put it up.
It's the only one they can take home.
Yeah, I just have to scroll down.
All right, so this is a proposal. All of you have it. It's to connect security for the entire site according to the conduits that were already provided in the new construction, $28,546. I will make a motion that the committee approve this proposal.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? By roll, Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Kim, what else do you have on this document that we can just scroll right through?
This was the last one, so I'll just go backwards, if that's okay.
Yep.
This is the signage, it looks like. Let me just look, Permaline. Yep, this Yep, 961.70 for the signage that Jim talked about.
So, Jim,
Yes.
what's this? What is the $643? Is that the various signs? Is that what you were talking about for the signage for the general signs for the site?
Correct. Yeah, so there'll be the regular street signs. They're big, like the ones you see, the blue ones for the new water ban. They're that size. They're reflective. They'll be put on posts and like AB, you see under the mailboxes. When Dave put there that says 7 Water Street AB, that will be replaced with a permanent, not a cardboard sign that we had made up.
All right,
And then on each door, there'll be AB. And then further on, the salt shed, everything will have a building number.
All right.
associated.
all right. I make a motion that we approve this proposal to, who's the vendor here?
Permaline.
Permaline for $961.70.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. What else do we have, Kim?
So this next one, I'll scroll up and then back down, but it's Uline for the pallet racks. So
All right,
it's
so these-
Uline and the total is $12,544.
All right. And this is heavy pallet storage racks. Jim said it, like you would see in a warehouse where a forklift truck takes a whole pallet and puts it on. These are very substantial racks. I think you're right. I've seen a number of these that you've already installed. Are high quality, last a long time. I make a motion that we approve $12,544 to Uline for storage racks in the existing facility.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? John Larkin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right. All right, this is not what is being proposed. Am I correct?
That's correct. You're right. Yes.
All right, so
So this, let me go to the top again and then I'll scroll down. Tool and equipment connection.
no, we're not.
No.
We're
Yeah, but I
not.
think this is the one you sent out. Was this the later one?
No,
This is the
first one.
earlier one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So this is not right. Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. So this is same tool and equipment connection. So is this,
It's all part of the same one.
okay, okay. These are the generators.
Yes.
All right.
So Kim, I
So-
think you sent the quote that we're looking for. I think you sent that. Dave, didn't we send that out today?
I have it, yeah, right here. Is this it?
Yes.
That's it.
That's the one that came out today. Yep.
Can you scroll to the bottom there?
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
just one question, Wayne, and Jim. So on that one, that has to be wired. Do we have that in the budget? Just asking.
No, it's the wire's already there.
So we just plug it in?
Well, we'll have to have our electrician finish it, but it's a drop down from the ceiling.
Okay, no, that's good. Just checking.
All right. I make a motion that the committee approves $19,580.20 for a vehicle lift to, what's the company?
Tool
Tool
and
and
equipment
equipment.
connection.
Tool and Equipment Connections in North Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so do you want to go back to the generator?
Are you, Jim, are you, you are not submitting for the committee's review the mobile column lifts of 46,349 because we've just approved the 19,580.
That's
So
correct.
that's being withdrawn.
Yes, sir. Yep.
The cost for the refurbishing the Mohawk lift, 26,903, that's being withdrawn.
That's correct.
All right. The diesel generator, what's the status of that? Are you submitting that to the committee or is that being withdrawn?
I will withdraw that at this time, yes. Well, I'll withdraw that.
Okay, all right. So I don't think there's anything new for the committee to consider then. I think we've just voted.
Wayne, can I just raise a point?
Please.
I'd like to ask Mr. McKay, is this, we have to decide this tonight? Or we can't do it, or could it be raised a bit later, like next month? I'm uncomfortable with just having no generator available, but I understand I'm not convinced that the quote is exactly what I think we should do, but I'd like to revisit it and at the next meeting when there aren't perhaps a little bit more time to justify it, as opposed to if it's going to be withdrawn, then it's not rejected. But I think it's worthy of discussion at the next meeting if others would be willing to do that. And the reason I'm saying that is I'm just trying to look at it as we've spent a lot of money, what I consider to create, a grade A1 DPW facility. And I don't want to leave a building without power.
Jim, we certainly can reconsider it. There's nothing to preclude that. We can consider it next month. We can consider it next year. We can consider it until this project is totally wrapped up. So that option
Okay, thank you.
is available to us. I guess the only other consideration that we might have is whether or not this price or the availability would change over time. So
From what I've heard so far, the only thing that's going to change is it's going to go up, but
well, I'll
who knows?
leave that to Jim McKay to decide whether or not this is something that he wants and this is the price, and he can submit it at that time, and the committee will then consider it.
So what I'd like to, so the ball's in my court now. What I need to do is, you just approved everything that's over the procurement, estimates. So these are the bare minimum. Now I have to go back, so I can report back to, my boss, the town administrator, that all three, when he signs these contracts, that they're under a state bid, or I'll have to get 3 quotes for them. And the generator, it will give me a little bit more time to go out and maybe solicit more, bids for, for the project. We were at a tight time frame, and this is a company that we work with all the time. There are other people out there, so I will get other quotes for that. But most importantly, everything that you just gave, I have to make sure that I can, when I come back to you to sign off to pay for these, that these are done properly under the procurement laws, and I'll make sure that's done.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
all right. So does that leave us with bills to pay then?
We actually have to approve, just officially approve that change order 13 for the credit.
Sure. So why don't you put that up on the screen, Kim?
Does everybody see it? Can you see it or no?
Yes.
Yes.
We can see it.
total, you can't see the total.
Can you scroll down?
Sorry, yep, yep.
Keep going, Kim.
Tell me when to stop.
No, you can stop there. I'll propose that we approve the change order number
13.
13 for a credit to the project of $322,500.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so invoices?
Okay,
All right, I just want to make sure everybody's seeing it after that one time that we
Yep,
weren't seeing the same thing. Okay, so JJ Cardosi, let me get down and rotate it. So, whoops, hold on, now everything's. Okay. So this is the rec from Cardosi, application 13. And they are looking for payment in the amount of $99,509.05.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the invoice to JJ Cardozi for $99,509.05.
Second,
been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Diane Germain, how do you vote?
aye. Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Did we get a bill from Taylor and Burns this month, Kim?
No. I asked if he had one and he just sent me I said, do you have any invoices? And he sent me the Cardosi one.
Okay,
So this one is RE Lyons for fire extinguishers, I believe.
That's for
Yeah.
that was to complete the vehicle building.
And the total is $697.
I make a
Okay, I'll
motion
move
that
that
we
we-
approve. Sorry,
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
I make a motion that we approve an invoice for RE Lyons for fire extinguishers for $697.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Rich Nichols, how do you
Aye.
vote? Diane Germain,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, the next one is a Home Depot invoice. And I'm not sure, it looks like to me that it's
Plastic
3
tables.
tables.
Dave's
Plastic.
Christmas trees.
My Christmas trees.
Oh, gosh.
All
Yeah,
right,
it
so
took me a minute
that
to
is
figure it out.
$269.94.
Wayne, those are for countertops for the, what was left over from the, that we utilized from the cabinets that was donated from Rich Nichols' client.
Great. Great. Rich, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the amount, the payment, actually it was on the credit card to Home Depot for the amount of $269.94 for countertops.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Diane Germain, how do you vote?
aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And before we go, Rich, thank you again for the cabinets.
Mhm.
Yes.
We don't
thank
have to pay for the candy canes.
That was a very nice contribution to the project.
So the next is Thomas Braska. And you can read disconnecting 2 heaters, 1 hot water heater, drain and cut out water lines, reconnect water for hose connection, and some pipes, valves, shutoffs.
That was-
$607.
Demo.
Okay. So what's the amount?
$667.
I make a motion that we approve the Frasca invoice dated December 27th, 2021 for $667 to Thomas Frasca.
Second,
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Diane Germain,
aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Next invoice is for Joyce Boyardi for shades.
Correct.
And the total is $1,200.
Is this an invoice?
This is what I got.
And this is what she submitted when she did the town hall, so hopefully Lisa will accept it. If not, we'll make sure we get something better.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to pay Joyce Boyardi $1,200 for shades for the staff building.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Diane Germain, how do you vote?
Aye.
John Larkin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rich Nichols, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
The next, we have 2 invoices for Walco, which is going to total $8,035. And those are for disconnecting all circuits for demo of the old break room, bathrooms, offices, running new outlets for power and relight overhead lights, move Scada computer to temporary location. That's the first invoice, and that invoice totals $4,160. The second invoice is for the Scada panel relocation to the new DPW building. And that invoice is for $3,875. And I'm going to go back up again to show you the total. Oops, sorry. Of $8,035.
I make a motion to pay an invoice to Walco Services for various electrical work to move the SCADA system and disconnect things in the old garage building in the amount of $8,035 even.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I would like to ask a question. I guess of Dave Ramachi. Is this work complete now? Is there anything else outstanding in relation to either moving the SCADA system or electrical work in general?
No, all that is complete.
Okay, great. And you're not expecting anything else from Frasca?
No,
or
Frasca's
data?
definitely done. I will have to ask Bill about the moving the gas computer over. I don't think there was much work, and I know he did a lot of that work while he was doing the disconnection of the demo. So it might all be in that other previous bill. So I'm pretty positive that that's it.
Okay,
But I will check.
thank you. All right. Jim McCaffrey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Diane Germain,
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And the last invoice I have is for H. Perrin and Sons Locksmiths for rekeying the DPW. And the total is $1,302.40.
So Wayne, this is more of a question. I'm kind of surprised that we had to actually do this as part of the project, but so when they gave us the building, they gave us, keys that were made at Rockies, the lock system. So when we chose to unify the entire lock system, so it's what we have throughout the water system, sewer system. So it's just one key that opens up the entire system. So if this isn't approved, I mean, that's something that we would have to pay out of the budget, but.
So I'm not clear here, Jim. So we spent a lot of time talking about fobs with safety signal. That's not related to this. Is that correct?
That's right. The fob system. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're barrel locks.
These are barrel locks that correct. So each door has both buildings have a lock on the door, and I believe the offices all have locks on them, so that these keys will open them up. The fob system's up and working. It works on both buildings. We've programmed them, and I believe everybody's using them. Dave, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but
And with this, Wayne, I mean, unless we wrote it in the contract, basically what they did is they changed out all the cylinders. And so that's, if we didn't ask him to do that up front, that I'm not surprised.
To me, this is a normal part of the project, so
Right.
I'm fine with it.
Yep. So,
All right, what's the amount?
$1,302.40.
I make a motion that the committee approve the invoice to
I'm sorry. H. Perrin and Son Locksmith.
Perrin and Son Locksmiths for rekeying locks, $1,302.40.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Diane Germain, how do you vote?
Aye.
John Larkin,
Aye.
Rich Nichols,
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And that concludes the invoices for tonight.
Hey,
Excellent. Well, I would say that at this stage, we're in a very good spot. We're able to reconsider some things that we, according to Jim McCaffrey, his favorite term, value engineered out at the beginning, and it's a great position to be able to be back and reconsider those. So, and we're considering all of those on their merits, and I think that's a terrific position to be in. Jim, is there anything else that you see? Jim McKay, is there anything else that you see that you'd like to have as part of this project?
I think that the only thing outstanding, large invoices that we have is naturally the furniture. That was delivered this week. So if anybody wants to come down and take a look at it, all we're missing there is a bench, and I think what do we miss? One other thing, Dave. I think the mapping tables, architect tables. So we should be getting that invoice, for the next meeting.
What did you say that was, Jim? Did you say that was 9,000?
It's actually, yes, it is 9,000 because we never paid any of the furniture. We paid for all the chairs. The committee's already approved the chairs and all that. It's none of the furniture. I think we paid for 2 of the desks. I'm sorry. 2 of the desks were paid out of that. So it's less than that.
Okay.
It's like 7,000 or 8,000. And I should be, they emailed, I'll get that right by the end of the week, I'm sure, and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I think the only thing that we did not address was, and I think this is a question to Wayne, I think you already approved this, was the compressor for the back building. Okay, all right, so that there's no need to, and no, I don't see any other, no. Anything,
Do you
Dave?
remember the price for the compressor off the top of your head, approximately?
Yeah, $3,200.
Okay.
I can send you that. We already bought one. I can send you that right away.
Okay.
Jim, are you still thinking about doing some kind of opening
Yeah, I would,
in between the flakes?
yeah, after this weekend, we'll see. We can talk about that. I'd say, probably maybe later, end of February. I think that
Jim,
everybody.
do you ever remember a snowstorm that wasn't on a weekend?
Which runs into double, triple, quadruple time, yeah.
So have you attempted to actually wash a truck,
Yes, I did today.
and how'd it work?
Perfect. Awesome.
Did you get all wet?
Nope.
How does your pickup look?
It looks good.
Well, it's terrific that you're finally using the building. I think that's great. Yeah, I'd like to wrap up the contract stuff and this carbon monoxide detection issue by the end of this week. I think that's important with our temporary certificate of occupancy. So I don't want to get askew with Jim Petro over that issue. So hopefully we're done with this and we're just paying the bills as they come in, and we still have retainage. I know Richard voiced a concern about not giving up all of our leverage in order to make sure that we get as-built drawings and the completion of all the nagging things that that just kind of come in at the tail end of the project. And so I think we need to be sensitive to that, but otherwise I think we're essentially done. So thank you all. Thank you all.
you.
Thank you.
It's a great position to be in. All right. Anything else that the committee would like to consider in relation to the DPW project? All right. With that, then I would, if you so choose, bid Dave and Jim adieu, and you can go on to more important matters tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, Dave.
Bye.
Okay. Senior Center project. You all received the PM&C preliminary pricing for the two alternatives. Any questions or comments that you have now that you reviewed it?
Wayne, I talked with you earlier about the fact that I'm not sure the percentage that Abacus is suggesting, the 33.5%, is adequate to mark up these costs.
Mhm. Yeah, Diana, I only had my cell phone with me in Hawaii, and the glare of the sun was making it difficult to even read that. So
Wait, violins.
I feel sorry for you, Wayne. I really
How
do.
was the sun in Florida, Diane? I mean, that's
Wonderful, but I'm not complaining.
yeah.
It snowed here.
You could say that
Glare
every
was
day for the
bad.
next 3 months.
Yeah.
Glare was rough too, I'm telling you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, you're not.
Well, I try to be sympathetic at least. So I really didn't have a chance to look at the numbers until today, actually. And I spoke to Rich Nichols this morning about it. And I think at this juncture, what the committee needs to do is to see how comfortable we are with the costs in relation to the scope. I'm not asking you to give an opinion on the cost in respect to the programming, but just the cost in terms of what the architects have designed. And it really goes to the comment that you just made, Diane, which is the 33% enough? When I look at the detail that PM&C has put together, many of these numbers are plug numbers, they're allowances, they're unit prices, and we are dealing with a really rough order of magnitude kind of cost as opposed to anything specific enough to really enter into a discussion about, is this the right amount? This is really just a preliminary order of magnitude. So having said that, I went through the numbers and had a number of questions that I would just ask the committee, unless somebody else would like to jump in with issues that they've identified, or if you'd like me to do that.
Go ahead with yours first,
Go
Wayne.
ahead, Wayne.
All right. For the VMB option, we're considering partial renovation for 6,280 square feet, and then an addition of 8,575 square feet. And that's broader than the square foot numbers that last I had seen on any rendering. And so I guess my question is, where did that come from? And is that the 1 or the 2-story option for the VMB?
I think that's the 2, Wayne, but I'm not 100%.
I would expect that in order to get that 8575 square foot number, it would have to be the 2-story.
Yeah.
That was my suspicion, but I wanted to confirm that. When I spoke to Rich Nichols this morning, one of the concerns that I had, and I think the committee needs to run this to ground sooner rather than later, is as part of that proposal for the VMB, there's an awful lot of parking. A lot of the green space that currently exists would be converted into parking. I think we need to read from the planning board as to whether or not that's going to be sufficient. I don't know what we need to make that happen. I don't know if we need to provide programming information for like number of people at a particular time of day or whatever. But I think we need to know whether or not there's going to be enough parking at that facility in order for this to be a viable option or not.
If we could get that, I think if you could get an idea from the architect what it is, and then I can check with Beta. And they have like when we do McDonald's, they have a square footage and then the requirement of parking spaces per. So we could probably get that from Beta of what the requirement would be on that. And then also you'd have to have accessible spaces because it's public parking on that. So that would be something else we'd have to look at. And the building now is fully ADA compliant, so we don't have to worry about that. That's good news on that, at least.
Right. Yeah, but and we could get into the actual design, for like ADA, whatever else, the health department or the fire, the whole design part, we could get into later, but I think it's worthwhile at this point to make sure that parking, is not a precluding condition here. I think the others are solvable. Any comments on that?
I think they have 106 parking spaces in the new configuration. I remember counting them at one point because COA was saying, oh, there's not enough parking here. And it's quite a bit more than what they have now. And I think the other option is VMB staff could walk over to the parking lot where the old Clyde Brown playground was. Park there.
Okay, well, I'm sure they would be thrilled to hear that, Diane.
I'm gonna tell them it's your suggestion.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Those are the questions that I had for the VMB cost summary. Anything that the committee, that jumped out at the committee in relation to that?
I had brought up something, Wayne, on just on because it's the building is older. I had mentioned something about possible contamination outside, just because, in the day, I know that the inside had asbestos in it because I used to go to school there, and they used to have the giant igloo where the furnace was, which was coated with asbestos, and just, I think we should make sure we have a contingency of something in there for contaminated soils. And we should also have something in there for testing.
I agree on both points. And I would remind you, Rich, that when we repaved that portion of the parking lot for the Clyde Brown project, who was our site contractor?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo wound up with big clumps of were they boulders or big clumps of mud, or things that had been used as fill, just as you suggested earlier, that we discovered right in the parking lot, right outside front, and they've been there for 40 or 50 years. So I think you're right about the potential for dumping outside the building. So I would say contamination inside and out.
We know there's some inside. I think there's some money in there for flooring and stuff.
We hired Amar Deeb from Universal Engineering, just like everybody else did, and they did a survey, and so there's asbestos containing materials in various parts of the building. I was part of the original PBC that remodeled this building, and we removed some asbestos containing materials under the wooden floors. I'm not sure what would be involved in this portion. I think we remediated most of what we had found, but you're right. There should be at least an allowance for that, for both inside and out.
Wayne, when the ramps went in, the concrete ramps down to the COA below ground, didn't they do some excavating there and along the eastern side of the building?
The ramp is on the other side, Diane. The ramp that made the gym accessible was on the other side. I don't recall that we, oh, you're talking about the handicap.
The existing one, right?
Yes, all right.
Because I think they excavated there and around the corner on the building on the eastern side. And there may not be as many issues as, then again, this is the PVC, so.
Well, and I think Jim McKay did some excavation to do some waterproofing.
Yes.
That's right.
In there as well. So the area's been disturbed and investigated. So it may be better than we
But it
think.
should still be in the budget.
Exactly. Anything else on the VMB building?
Just one more thing, Wayne, and I'm just thinking, are we gonna have to upgrade the utilities on that? Because if we're adding square footage, did they have any money in there for, upgrading new gas line, I just happen to think of that. We should just look in the budget to see if there's any. Because they usually don't pick up utilities in that.
Good point. And I guess the other question is whether or not we would upgrade the whole HVAC. We've got a 2-pipe system in the building now. I'm not sure if we would, just what we would add, because it would be senior space, whether or not we would want to upgrade to a 4-pipe system, something different, whether or not it would be separate from the rest of the building. We should talk about,
I would think, Wayne, if you're adding over 8,000 square feet to a building, you're gonna be doing some upgrade.
I think you're right, John. What that will do is that will drive that number up in respect to the Cassidy Farm option. But I think both of these are likely to go up when we get done with them. Okay, anything else with VMB? Okay, here are my questions, couple of questions I have about the Cassidy Farm. And they're basically two things. The utilities for access to the site, the allowance is 300 linear feet for water and sewer connections. We have water on 115. I think we have sewer there. Whether or not we can hook up to it is a question. But I think in either circumstance, we would be well beyond 300 feet to bring utilities to the facility. So-
One last question, Wayne, gas. Did they include gas in there? I don't know if they have gas on island. I mean, the assumption is if downtown has gas and that's nothing, but it's, I don't know, it's like $175 a foot or something to run the gas lines down if they're not local.
Rich, I would think that would be cost prohibitive. I think if we needed gas, we would go with propane. I don't know how we would excavate any length unless it was already on 115 there. I can't imagine that we would.
No, if it came from 115, we could do it. We just have to make sure that it's in there. That's all.
Right, but if not, then I think you have to go to a propane system.
Mhm.
Do you agree with that or not?
Or electric. The other one is electric.
Yeah,
The new heat pumps are, pretty efficient.
right. Okay, all of these things we need to get back to Abacus and further refine. The other thing that I found, and I was quite surprised by it, was 7,400 square feet for a gym. And I don't know where that number came from. But I happen to have the plans from the VMB, and the gym there is 3,360 square feet. So it's less than half. And so that brings up an even broader issue for me in relation to this option. And the issue is whether or not we would consider the Cassidy Farm property to be an exclusively senior facility, or would it be multi-generational? And would we, and one of the reasons why I think the gym is 7,400 square feet is there's a $25,000 cost in there for bleachers. There's basketball backboards, there's equipment there. And the question I think the committee needs to decide is whether or not this should be considered both ways as either a standalone senior facility or a multi-generational one. And whether or not the multi-generational makes the 7,400 square foot facility appropriate. So I'd like the committee's thoughts on that.
Before I answer that, do you remember the size of the gym in Clyde Brown?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't have those plans. I just happen to have an old set of plans from the VMB here. So I was able to pull those out, but I don't know what the Clyde Brown gym is.
We're discussing options at my job for a 5,000 square foot field house facility, which would be multi-use, court space, a lot of options. It's significantly smaller than this, larger than the VFB, but it's 7,400 is huge. That's a big facility.
Well, and it adds a substantial cost to the project.
Yeah.
It adds almost $500,000 to the project.
Yep.
Well, one question might be is, if we go with, let's say we take that space out and we do, maybe the Cassidy option is, senior center light. So it really is a true senior center, and we try to make it smaller to make the cost lower versus trying to make it the multi-generational. With the town hall, it made sense because it's already there in, that would be one way to roll it in. Maybe another option is to have the Cassidy as a pure standalone senior center. We can try to pare it down to make the cost more effective as an option. So they'd have option A or option B.
Well, I don't disagree with anything that you just said, but I think the question is a little bit different, Rich. It's, in my mind, that it's really, what are the options that we present to voters? So in that light, would we present two options for Cassidy? One is multi-generational, one is slimmed down. And so and would we present one with a similar size gym as we currently have at the VMB, or a larger one if it's going to be multi-generational and we're going to do more things there? I don't know what's included in this 7,400 square foot size facility. Again, we need to get into that, but I think the question is, what do we think we want to present to voters?
I think we have to give them one of each.
One of each?
One of each. I don't mean at Cassidy. I mean, I think we have to give them a senior center exclusive, and I think we have to give them a community center. And for me, the logical place is VMB for that.
So what would you do, Diane, with Cassidy? No gym at all?
I don't know that we would do Cassidy. Do you think people in this town are going to want to spend $20 million?
Well, again, the question is, it's not what, it's not for us to decide. I guess I would say it that way.
No, I don't disagree, but I mean, I think you look at, and I would ask Jim McCaffrey this, do you have any idea what taking the temperature of your residents at Regency would show support or not for a senior center?
I don't want to speak for the group, but I do want to make a general observation that this is a big number. Both numbers are big.
They are.
And I guess that, mulling over, have we, at this stage of the game, bit off a little bit more than we can actually chew? I have to say that numbers of this magnitude, to me, are something that you'd have to present to the community as something that the community could use and not be exclusive. But that's just my sense of, this is a lot of money. So I don't know what I expected, but these are big numbers, and maybe they're not even big enough, is what you're suggesting. I guess we could posit that, is there a scale back of this at this point? It's tough for me to see how we could legitimately present this kind of scale of project and expect support, but I don't know if others agree with that or not, but this is a lot of money.
this is actually, I mean, putting aside the 33% markup, but you know, these raw numbers here were where I thought we would be at the low end. So I'm not surprised by the numbers, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and if these were converted into, you know, you take the marked up version that Diane was talking about, you're figuring between $400 per year to $650 per year additional in taxes. Just using the $30 million school was 850. So you can just back into some sets of numbers. So it's a huge ask, and I don't see how you can make an ask if it's just senior at all. I'd have a tough time making an ask even for multi-generational at that point. But at least it's a easier ask if it serves more people. And you know, and I think it has to be done with a gym, even if it's a small gym, even if it's just, you know, if it's half the size of the one proposed, if it's the size of the VMB gym, even if it is for seniors to use over at Cassidy, because that's an important feature that they want. You know, active older adults is a critical piece. The gym is something that allows that. Indoor pickleball, as painfully as to say that, but indoor pickleball or everything else, it's something that's important. And with a gym that size that they're proposing, you could do, you know, some very nice items. Having said that, we built steel frame field houses over at the Quincy YMCA that are cheap and spectacular. I mean, for community use, they're really very, very useful. A lot of free space on the inside, and turf fields and paved areas, and not paved, but you know, sports floor areas and everything else at a budget rate compared to this. But yeah, it's a lot of money. It's tough to do if you restricting it to a certain group that's only going to use it for 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, you know?
Maybe not even that, Craig.
Yeah, I'm being generous, you know.
I know, yeah. There,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim,
well, I just, you know, I do want to push back on that, because I think if you're going to do this, you're going to have to commit to an operation that is open, not just closing at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever. But be that as it may, you know, that's also part of the commitment, right? It's not just simply in terms of the community. It's not simply the construction of the building, but it's paying to use it. And so I guess that's why I'm hemming and hawing. But I mean, this is a lot of money for a building that is only, I agree, that would only be, even if it's generously open 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I mean, it's hard to justify.
Jim, there was another option, and that was the smaller VMB one-story
Right.
reno, but I don't think that it really offered as much robust space that maybe the community could take advantage of.
Well, if we look at the VMB, if you go back to the original, instead of 8,600 square feet, I think the original comparison was that both projects were somewhere in the 12,000 square foot range, and we had 6,000 in space already, albeit in the basement or ground floor. So if we cut back 2,000 square feet at call it 6,000 square feet, it's $1.2 million. I don't know that it's even if we cut it back, is it significant enough to make a difference?
I'm not sure that it is. And before I forget to mention, Abacus suggested 140, chapter 149, not 149A. If we're looking at a $10 million budget, I think 149A is a better way for us. Just
Yes, and
not relevant now.
but your point is a good one. That's another factor that tends to increase the cost.
It does.
Just because I'm not familiar with my chapters, that's construction. That's what we did with the school, CM at risk.
That was the, yeah, construction management at risk, Craig.
Right.
I just don't know it by chapter, I know it by name.
Sorry. As opposed to the library, you remember that.
Yeah, I remember both very, very well. I'm fondly remembering the outcome of both and the process on one. So,
Well, Wayne, let me just make a comment. I mean, if in fact what we do though is to say, look, what the charge here was to look at the feasibility of building a senior center, which, you know, could be broadened to be a community center. And, you know, are we in fact, do we in fact have the two best options, irrespective of what they cost, you know, to present to the community, knowing full well that what we've done in the interim is try to contain the cost as much as possible by going back to Abacus and saying, you know, can you please sharpen this and sharpen that and smaller gym. So that might be the, you know, the logical step forward is to say, okay, this is what the study shows.
Well, so I think there's two steps here. One is to get these proposals into a more accurate, presentable condition. So I think we need to go back and answer the questions that we talked about utilities and is everything in there, and the parking for the VMB and contamination, and have they considered all of these things? And then we can gross that up.
Yeah.
But then the question is, what is it that we present to voters? And is it 2 options? Is it 3 options? Is it arguably 4? Is it a skinny option? You know, remember that what we talked about right from the beginning was the senior center as it currently exists is not providing the service for the 60 and over community that it should be servicing.
Right.
So the function of the building from the very beginning has always been to expand its use. And the question is how much? And do we go backwards on that and just update something so that people, you know, the same people who come in for coffee and donuts today can do it in a slightly nicer, more comfortable setting? Or do we spend a substantial amount of money? Or do we ask the voters, are you willing to spend a substantially more amount of money for something else? So my thought is we go back to Abacus, answer some of these questions. I think Jim and Diane, I think you need to talk to Mike Kaczynski and his direct reports, the rec, library, and council on aging managers. Let them know where this is at. Get their feedback as to what they think we should do in terms of proposals. And I think we should talk to, and I think Abacus needs to be part of that discussion.
Do we need to get into costs with them?
Sure. They need to understand the implications.
Okay,
I agree with that, Wayne. I think at this point, you know, people have to understand the scope here. And the scope is, you know, kind of the designs. And here is a reasonable estimate. And it's not just picking out of the air. I mean, they did some real work here to try and figure out what we're talking about.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And I hate to be a broken record, but it's hard for me to take the 2 pages they've given me on Cassidy and convert that into $13 million. We got to have something else here. There's some drawing or something that begins to show what this project might look like.
there are 4 or 5 pages beyond what you saw in the beginning.
I've seen 2. Is what you sent me. So
Page down after that, you'll see 2 or 3 more pages without exterior renderings.
all right, I'll take a look because I think that this is inadequate at this point. I got quite a good rendering of the VMB from a lot of you know, angles, if you will, and you know, a Cassidy farm that still looks like something they took off the shelf somewhere.
All right, I will send it to you once more tomorrow.
Okay.
I sent it to Kathy McGinnis, I don't know, a month or more ago, and she didn't get it. And I sent it again and said, it's right there. And she said, oh, I'm sorry.
All right, well, I'll take another look, but it's not just me. I mean, if the other members of the committee are comfortable that we have enough to show, here's what it's gonna be, and here's how much money it's gonna cost, then I'm certainly willing to back off on that.
No, Jim, by the time we're gonna have to have something more tangible as demonstratives to present to the community. If, we're gonna need easels and renderings and
Right.
and we're gonna have to have something that people can relate to, because not everybody's has the ability to look at plans and envision, how that's gonna turn out into usable space. And we have to, and the architects know that, and we need to make that transition for them.
Kim, can I share the screen for a second? Kim? Oh, you're muted.
She doesn't.
All right,
You're
yes, you
mute.
can go ahead and share it. You can just scroll down and hit the share screen button.
Eh, Okay, that's not gonna help me.
The green square.
Yeah,
Yarrow.
sometimes it doesn't show up until you bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen.
I'm there. I'm just getting a funny, select a window or an application you want to have.
Yeah, so find the picture that looks like what you want to share if you have it up
I
on the
know,
screen.
I just am not,
They've monkeyed around with Teams again. I'm just like, every time
Here
I
we go.
think I
Here we
figured it
go.
out, it just.
can you guys see anything?
I can see your email, but not the picture.
Yeah.
I think
Email.
Teams allows you to select to share a screen or to share a single image.
You
Unless
still
have
can't,
something
you still
highly
can't see,
appropriate if you want to share a screen.
you can't see this now?
I can see the email to Kathy. I
If
can't
you
see-
close it and open it again like Kim did, it seems to work.
Okay,
That's what she did last time and it popped up.
Or if you share again, and if you see the picture of the plans on the screen, then share that
Yeah,
picture.
share, I think, yeah, close out of share and share again. I think that's what worked.
And that doesn't work, pour a cup of coffee on your computer.
I was doing that and somebody popped open a screen share that had their resume up. Maybe
now do you
wonder
see
why
anything?
they had a resume up on-
Is this the one that you sent to me? Because I can share it if it is. Is this the thing you sent to me?
Yep, hang on, I'm just gonna send it to you again.
I think I have it. I have it ready to go if that's what it is.
The one that,
You just said, can you have, I forgot to include you, but you should have this in case we need to share it.
no, that's
That one
something,
just had dollars on it.
Okay,
that's something different. Hang on. I'm gonna forward it to you right now.
Yeah, we were doing a Teams meeting and shared the screen, not the document, and I saw a resume and I thought, oh God, we're gonna lose this person.
Okay. You
But
should
then I
have it
left, so I didn't care.
in a minute or two.
hold on.
It's got an attachment.
Yeah,
Still hasn't come in?
no, I got it. Now I just have to go back and share my screen. Hold on. I was trying to open it ahead of time, so we didn't have this problem again, but let's see. Hopefully this works.
Beautiful.
Okay, so page down. All right, stop here. So Jim, there are 1, 2, 3 renderings on the right from the outside of the building,
Yeah, I
inside,
see those. I see those. I've seen them
And-
before.
a floor plan. And you're right, there are only 2 pages, but there are 4,
Yeah, there's
Four.
2 pages,
right?
which is kind of nice. But I can't, I'm not as well versed as you folks necessarily are in building, but I can't translate that into $13 million. It just doesn't compute. So,
Well, at some point, we can ask them to do separate renderings on a page with some color.
And
I mean,
that's the
because-
$10 million version because it doesn't have the gem. Is that correct? Not
Correct.
trying to make it sound better. I'm just trying to,
Correct.
yeah. So that's the $10 million version.
I think the latest plans that they did probably do have the gym on a rendering somewhere. I'll look
Well,
for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, but it is, Diane, but it's just stuck in the building.
Okay,
It's
well,
stuck at one end of the building.
that's probably about the only place they can put it right now. Okay,
Let's get back to Abacus. Jim's comment is something that we're gonna have to deal with. We might as well deal with it now. You know, we thought we had already addressed it. Let's go back to Abacus and in conjunction with resolving the rest of these questions. Then the question is, what do we present to voters? So we'll firm this up in the next couple of weeks. Answer these questions. Rich, we'll get back to you for questions for the planning board to consider. We'll nail down some of these other numbers. And then we need to talk about what do we think are our options for presenting to voters with prices. Then we can actually add some prices to them.
Wayne, one question. So on those renderings that I just saw, I saw a lot of curtain wall in that. So one question I would ask, the curtain wall is like the glass skyscrapers. What I would ask the architect is, you know, understanding that we're building for the town of Millis. And although, you know, curtain wall is beautiful and it's great to look like you're outdoors, is there a more cost-effective, you know, we're working on a budget. So, you know, have they taken that in consideration of their design?
Okay.
It was like the tower for the fire department that they had the tower that went up that was steel. That
Mhm.
was $75,000.
Mhm.
You know, that was, you know, a design feature that drove the price. So I would say that would be something that they need to keep in mind.
Yep. Agreed.
We don't live on Regency. We can't afford all those big fancy homes. We have to be down and dirty like the rest of Millis.
You
Well,
know,
thanks so much.
that was uncalled for.
Yes. Oh. Oh,
All right.
we're just yelling and screaming over here to keep him awake around the corner. The old people.
All right.
Wayne, can I just ask a question though, because I want to make sure we understand. I mean, when we say present to the voters, I think we're still talking about gathering input, right?
Yes,
We're not presenting.
I'm not talking about a warrant article, Jim. In fact, I think I spoke to Diane earlier in the day. And we keep projecting out and the target keeps getting out further. There's no way that we could have focus group public meetings in advance to present to the community prior to a warrant article for spring.
Right.
Earliest I would think we would be able to do this would be those focus groups for a vote in November.
I agree with that entirely. I think that, and the price point was set for, I think too soon also. So I think we need to slide the construction date back just a hair or two looking at it. But they said that would inflate the cost, unfortunately. But I'm
No,
not so
they-
sure.
they've
where
included-
what.
Craig, they've included escalation for fall of 23
Okay,
start.
okay. Okay.
But a lot would have to
Aggressive,
happen.
but it's not- Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's not impossible, but it's aggressive.
yeah. Okay,
I lost a year someplace. I was thinking fiscal year 23 and that's upon us.
So here's what I would suggest. I'd encourage all of you, particularly, you know, the construction folks, John Larkin and Rich in particular. to look at the unit costs and the assumptions there and see if anything jumps out at you. You know, you heard the things that I had trouble with, that I questioned today. And if there's other things, we need to get these scopes into better shape than what they're at, so that the assumptions are valid, albeit that we can hook up the town sewer or not, and if so, you know, how many linear feet is that, and does that drive the cost, or are we talking about a septic system? Because again, I think that would be a substantial change in price. So those are the kinds of things, you know, the point about utilities at the VMB and the overall HVAC, all things I think we need to run to ground. And then we'll be able to put this into a form that is presentable to Kaczynski and his direct reports. And then we'll come up with a number of options for presenting to the community.
Yeah.
Are those the steps?
I think so.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So Diane, I think either you or I or both of us can go back to Abacus and talk to them about what our discussion tonight. If anybody's got anything else, please send your comments to me sooner rather than later. And then we'll get a revision of this document, and then we'll put it in the hands of Jim and Diane for talking to Kaczynski and his direct reports.
Works?
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Anything else on the senior project? All right.
We never scheduled a meeting for PVC.
We need to review minutes, previous minutes. And we need to schedule a meeting. Anything else, Kim?
That's, nope, that's it.
What are the minutes?
The minutes are from December 21st.
Make a motion to approve the 12/21/21 minutes as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the December 21 meeting. Any discussion? Rich Nichols, how do you vote?
Aye.
John Larkin? John?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you. Diane, Jermaine,
Aye.
Jim McCaffrey,
Aye.
Wayne Clocko votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, next meeting,
Our meeting's on the 8th of February.
I think we should look to the end of the month in order for Cardozi to collect all of their bills. I don't have a calendar.
22nd is Tuesday, the last Tuesday. of February.
222, any conflict with 222?
Nope, not for me.
No.
222.
Seems like someone should celebrate.
Is our next scheduled meeting. Let's do it at 2:00.
Yeah. 222.
John, Wayne, I do have a conflict. There's a capital planning committee meeting that night, so I wouldn't be able to attend.
Go ahead, just ruin it for everybody.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go on without me. I'm just a squeaky wheel anyway.
How about 2/20/23?
How about the Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, the 23rd, I think should be available.
That works.
All right,
I'm
let's
okay with that.
Tim, you couldn't get out of it that easily.
I'm okay with that.
all right, good. Anything else that the committee needs to consider tonight? Well, in that case, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You.